Captain Andy Bates. I run Captain Bates Incorporated light tackle fly fishing guide service out of Beaufort, North Carolina. Right now, the hot thing on the beach, off our beaches near shore, is the Atlantic Bonito. Not to be confused with the false albacore. I'll put some pictures up on the video to show the difference. But basically, best way to decipher him, if he can eat you, you can eat him. So I'll put some pictures up in the description. But I've been getting a lot of phone calls, messages, texts, and stuff lately of local guys and people out of the area. Some people I know, some people I don't. A lot of contact with me asking what they can do, trying to point them in the right direction to catch these fish. With everything going on in the world today, and the charter business essentially shut down, I might as well show you what I do to catch them. Everybody's got their own ways. I'm going to show you what works for me and how I target these fish and the gear that I use. So basically, the Atlantic Bonito, migratory fish. I don't claim to be a scientist or know an extreme amount about the biology side of these fish, but they do migrate in the spring up the East Coast in North Carolina. Depending on where you're at in North Carolina, be March, end of March, middle of March time frame, working their way up the coast towards the Crystal Coast, Beaufort area, Atlantic Beach area, and further east. Have caught them in our area the very end of March. It's atypical. Even right now, for the last a week ago, that's fairly early for them to be in this area, but every year it's different. Fish don't have a calendar and a watch, so they do. Preferred water temp that I've found is around 65 degrees. Right now we've been fluctuating between 60, 62 degrees. We were a little bit warmer when they first showed up. Water temp has dropped with these north blows that we've been having, but they've stayed, and they're in very good fishing right now on the more well-known areas, as well as, if you've got something 50 to 60 foot of water, hard bottom marks that you got someplace that hold the anchovies. That's generally what I find them feeding on. It's fairly good size anchovies, finger length. Maybe I've even caught them, throwing them up bigger than finger length. The Atlantic Bonito, his average size that we catch, and it varies year to year on the majority of the age class of fish that migrate through, but you can figure 3 pound to 6 pound is about average size that we're going to catch around here. Sometimes we catch them a lot smaller, and occasionally we catch the bigger ones, but on average they're smaller than the false out. 50, 60 feet of water is kind of where I like them. Hard bottom structure. I have caught them close to the beach, pushed up on the beach. I've caught them on tide lines. I've caught them out in areas that I'm not sure why they were there. Kind of like false albacore, they're just there, chasing bait out in what appears to be the middle of nowhere. Don't find that as much as the case with the Bonito. I really like to target the structure with them. They're notorious for being a very good early morning bite, then harder to catch possibly as the sun comes up. But I'll get into some different techniques that can help you catch them further into the day. So basically, when I get up and I've got a game plan of where I'm going to go, either a report or something I've been on, or if I'm just totally going out scouting a new area, I'm going to be there as early as safely possible. When I first get there, I'm not a huge troller, but I do troll for these fish. It can really help you dial them in. I use it as a tool to help me dial the fish in where I can jig them or cast to them with my light tackle stuff. And also I do get some people that are more comfortable trolling and fighting fish that way. So we will start with the trolling techniques. These pink and silver Yozuris, make an excellent trolling lure for these. A lot of mine I will change out with the VMC inline hooks, either just one on the back or both of them. A lot of times I'll change out both of them. I experiment with different things to make it easier on us to unhook fish, safer for us to unhook fish, different ways to see how the bait reacts to different hook combinations. But I do like the VMC inline hooks on my Yozuris, especially with these really toothy critters. It just makes getting the hooks out and back in the water immediately a lot faster and safer than the treble hooks. I have not noticed on the Yozuris that the inlines have created with Bonito have reduced the hookup percentage significantly. I've not noticed that. So the Yozuri, I think these ones are about 4.5 inch Yozuris. They're pretty good size. You can pull the smaller ones. I like these ones. I'm pulling pink and silver. Period. We're going to troll these at 3 to 5 knots. However, every boat's different, every line setup's different, every bait is slightly different. You can tune these. If you got one that's pulling way off to one side or the other, this little right up here where the split ring connects, you can take your pliers and bend that side to side to play with it to get it to pull true through the water. But I'm gonna pull these, and I'm gonna pull planers, number 1 or number 2 planers on. I'll use the TFO Mag Heavy for my planer rods. Got it right here. So I'm gonna use the TFO Inshore Mag Heavy. They're 8-foot rod. They're real beefy. I like using this spinning rod and that stiffer blank especially on the number 2 planer. And it's got you're gonna use a larger reel on it to work the planer in when you need to, or if you're pulling the mackerel trees that have multiple hooks on them, and then another spoon on the back, and you get multiple fish. If you've got the Mag Heavy and a BG 5000 or a big 6,000 or 7,000 series reels, you've got the torque to crank these fish in. So the way I rig the planers, normal trolling rods, I've got mono on. These here, my live bait rods. So I generally won't use these for my planers because of the mono. I want to use the reels that have my have braid on them. So big quality barrel snap swivel to my braid, to my planer, then 25, 35 feet of 30-pound. I use mono primarily. You will top shot that with a leader to Albright knot or double uni knot to a piece of 40-pound fluorocarbon, however long you want. To the mackerel tree or Clark spoons, this one happens to be silver, or drone spoon with the silver. I really like the silver, the silver and the pink. The silver and the pink's a good combination for these fish. Drone spoons, I'm running split ring barrel swivel too. I'll do that a lot, even on my Clark spoon sometimes. So I found a hard bottom. I use my electronics a lot with these fish. Found my hard bottom I wanted to go to. I get within a few hundred yards of it. I'm putting a Yozuri out one side. I fish a bay bait, so I'm not set up for trolling 4 or 6 rods, but for locating fish on a smaller boat, planer on one side. My number 2 planer, I'm not dropping out very far. I might let out 30 feet of line, maybe 25 feet of line. It's right there behind the boat, 30-foot leader, or 30 foot mono leader, 2 or 3 foot, 40-pound fluorocarbon. And the other side, I'm gonna use my trolling rod with my Yozuri. I've had days where I'm getting bit off on my 30 or 40-pound leaders. I don't know what it is, just some day, I've had days where I've lost 3 or 4 lures using that. Jigs and Yozuris. I think sometimes the wire can hurt the bite. I think you're going to get more bites on fluoro mono leader than wire. However, if you're getting bit off, you know, what's the point? Because they do have teeth. You get bit, fight the fish, get them in the boat. First thing I do, after we get the hooks out and get everything, I've got a bucket on my boat with a frozen gallon jug of water in the bucket with a little bit of salt water in the bucket as well. Take my knife, cut the gill plates right in the bucket. We're going to bleed these fish out. Bleed them out and get them in ice cold water instantly. Then I'm going to let them sit in there for a few minutes, bleed out. They're going in the cooler in an ice slurry of salt water and ice slurry. And they are going to be cold, cold, cold. And that's really, you're going to be really happy you did that later on, because I think it just really helps the quality of the meat. So we found them. We've caught a few trolling. We got some for supper. And now we're ready to have fun on the light tackle and the fly fishing gear. So my light tackle setups, probably 75% of the time I'm using the mediums, the TFO inshore mediums. Florida Fishing Products 3000, Suffix 832, 20 pound, 15, 20 pound braid. And I will use the medium heavies, TFO, the 7-foot medium heavies. If I'm casting to them, busting on top, and the conditions are kind of crappy, and I need a heavier jig to cast a little bit further, or whatnot, or if we get into a larger size class of fish, right? I'm a big proponent on matching my tackle for the size fish that we're catching. If I'm catching 2 to 4 pounders, I'm throwing the mediums. Heck, I might throw the medium lights with the 2500s. If we get into a larger size class, or if we run into a school of big albies, you know, we can bust out the medium heavies with the Osprey 5000 reels or the 4000s, and Suffix, you know, 25 or 30 pound braid. So fishing braid, long distance casting, a shot of fluoro, 30 or 40 pound fluoro leader, a couple feet long. The jigs that I like to use, these happen to be the break day jigs made locally. The 1 ounce and 3/4 ounce are my 2 go-tos. Obviously you can cast a 1 ounce further, but the white with the silver flash down the side, or the pink and white, my go-tos. Yeah, there's a million different jig companies out there making these style jigs. The Shore Lure makes a good one at a reasonable price, and there's some other local North Carolina guys that are making some. Find whatever jig you like, which you can afford multiple ones of, and go with that. I like the break day jigs. These I have put the VMC inline hooks on, single hooks. If I use the treble hooks number 4x VMCs, I will pinch the barbs on them. It makes it, I like getting the hooks out fast and getting back fishing quickly. Generally when you find these fish, you're going to find a lot of them. Hookup percentage might be slightly less on these jigs with the single hook, but if there's 1,000 fish down there and they're biting hard, you know, if you miss a bite, you're more likely going to get a bite the same cast. So not too concerned about the hookup percentage in those situations. But 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce, sometimes they like, even though they're feeding on a bigger bait, I think the weight of it, you know, the speed that it falls can make a difference when you're jigging, or if you're casting into busting fish and there's not fish below them really, you know, it's just a handful of fish all the way on top. You throw a heavy casting metal past them to reel them back through, you might be getting underneath of them, right? If they're staying up. So that 3/4 ounce, cast into them, cast right past them, reel through them, and you have a better chance of keeping this in the strike zone longer. So, jigging techniques, like casting techniques. I found, so if I'm over a hard bottom structure, I've got marks, okay, we caught a couple trolling, sun's kind of came up, and maybe they came up busted for a little bit, we casted to them busting, ripped it, rip as fast as I can, bam, get slammed, catch a couple like that, fish disappear, I find them on my chart, on my graph. I'm going to utilize my spot lock or drift through that area, bumping my motor in reverse to really slow me down, where we can either vertical jig or make long cast, let jig hit the water, open the bail, let it fall down, close the bail, rip it back as fast as we can, ripping it back as fast as we can. That way you're covering more of the water column from a long cast coming up. I will catch them just vertical jigging sometimes, where we're, you know, kind of gray trout style vertical jigging, straight down and twitch and follow your line down with your rod, keeping contact with your jig. More times than not, I catch them personally dropping down and ripping the jig back to the top. Even if they're marking on the bottom, a lot of times they'll hit that jig 15 feet below the boat. So they followed it up and they knew they needed to eat it before it got away from them. So casting out, letting it fall, ripping it back, dropping vertically, ripping it back up. To me, I catch more bonitos that way than I do just sitting there, even if I'm on the marks, just vertical jigging on the bottom. Now if you want a chance to catch a gray trout and a bonito, then you're going to want to stay on the bottom and bounce the jig on the bottom. So that's what works for me on the casting jigs, vertical jigs stuff, the trolling stuff. So now my favorite part, the fly fishing. So basically, the fly fishing, I'm gonna do the same thing as the vertical jigs. I'm gonna try to find the areas that they're holding on, and either drift through as slowly as possible, depending on the current, the tide, the wind conditions, or utilize my spot lock on my trolling motor. This happens, what I've got, 300 grain, scientific angler, sinking line on the TFO Impact 8-weight and a BBK reel. That's what I've been, the Axiom 2, I've got my intermediate line on, 9-weight Axiom 2, and that's for casting towards fish that are more towards on the top or more towards the top of the water column. When I'm getting them down below 50, 60 feet of water and they're suspended 10, 15 feet off the bottom, this 300 grain light current it works very well. I'm going to use most of the time a number 2 Clouser, same profile as my jigs, right? Glass minnow profile, anchovy profile, solid white, silver flash, or pink and white, silver flash. Go-tos, all white, pink and white, silver, go-tos. I don't need a lot of different colors and combinations. I haven't found. If it ain't pink and white, solid white, for these fish, I don't need it. But, yep, 300 grain sinking line, 8-weight. This Impact's a really fun rod. It's a little bit slower rod than the Axiom 2, so, you know, the Axiom 2X that I've been fishing for the bigger albacore at 9 weight is perfect. These fish a little bit smaller, a little bit slower rod, impact 8 weight. I really enjoy fighting it. There's a lot of fun on this rod, and that BBK reel has been working well for them. So spot lock, slow drift. If I'm doing a slow drift with a sinking line, try to dredge these fish up off the bottom, you're going to want to make your long cast downwind. So you're essentially drifting towards your fly. You want to cast downdrift. Cast downdrift, and that will work you towards your fly. As you work towards your fly, your line is going to start coming down, right? As your boat's going this way, flies out here, sinking line, sinking line, sinking line, sinking line, boom, down to the bottom. Same with the jigging technique. You can strip, pause, and kind of work it almost like a jig, or just, if you've been catching them on the spinning rod on the jig, you know, ripping it up to the top, do the same thing with the fly. Main thing is just a little bit different technique, getting the fly to the bottom and ripping that, stripping that thing up there, stripping it, strip. You get eat, strip set, and you're on. When they come up to the top, they'll stay up top good sometimes they won't. It can be kind of challenging to cast into them while they're feeding on top, but you can do the same. You can use that same 300 grain to cast on top if they happen to pop up next to you. You don't have to switch rods and go to a floating line or anything like that. I have found conditions where having going to the 500 grain to get down is a must. So 3 to 500, I would say 3 to 500 grain sinking line for catching these fish when they're down deep is essential. Let's talk a little bit about prep. I'm by no means a chef, so we've got some fish in the cooler. You got them bled out. They're in the saltwater ice slurry. Get back to the dock, you're ready to clean them. Several different ways you can clean them. If you got a lot of them, I'll fillet them right down each side, leave the skin on. You can loin them, where you're getting a loin off the back and a loin off the belly. You can stake them, cut them perpendicular, and cut each little steak out depending on the size of the fish. The bigger fish, you know, it's a little easier to do that. And cooking them on the grill, pan seared, cooked like a tuna, where you're leaving it, you know, just searing the outside of it and leaving the inside a rare, medium rare color. That's how I do soy sauce, sesame seeds, a little bit of garlic powder, and they are very, very good eating fish. So they're generally only here for a short period of time in our area, 4 to 6 weeks maybe at best, and you might get 2 or 3 really good weeks out of that. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. Hope that helps out a little bit for those of you that have had questions about how we're fishing these. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. If you have any other videos, kind of how-to stuff, how I do things, feel free to message me or comment, and we'll see what we can put together. We've got lots of time on our hands right now. Might as well help out the guys that can happen to still get out on their boats and target these fish. So, thanks for watching.